Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of the Plan Commission dating back to March 5th, 2019.
Moved. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any questions, comments, or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Under item 4 is 4A1, a public hearing at 6 o'clock p.m. for a conditional use permit, CU-19-001, public hearing for the consideration of a conditional use permit to allow a mobile food vendor at 815 West Paradise Drive by Paradise Mart Incorporated, who is the applicant. The agent is Patrick Osowski, and a presentation by Business and Development Specialist James Renke. Good evening, Jim.
Good evening, everyone. This conditional use permit is being requested by the Paradise Mobile Mart. They're requesting a conditional use for a mobile food vendor area at 815 West Paradise Drive. Mr. Osowski provided a sketch and an operations letter requesting the use for a food truck operations. They're looking for a sales area on the north side of the building where they would use 3 stalls on that north end. The truck would utilize this area for vending. All sales and everything would take place in this area. He's requesting that the hours of operation be from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sunday through Saturday. This would provide flexibility for allowing different vendors to utilize that area throughout the different times of the week. The activities would occur from the truck, and then they're also requiring that any refuse generated from the use would be collected and taken off-site at the end of each day. The site provides 20 standard stalls with 1 barrier-free, with an additional 8 stalls at the pumps. Staff reviewed the request and finds it to be acceptable along with the location and the operations. A Class 2 public notice was published in the paper, and staff received no inquiries or comments regarding the use for the conditional use of the food vending. If the commission finds it to be acceptable, we would ask that the commission approve it with the 4 listed staff conditions.
Thank you, Jim. Anyone from the public wishing to address this item, feel free to step up to the microphone.
I'll move the public hearing be closed.
Motion has been made and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. A little more enthusiasm, guys. Any questions from the commission for Jim? I'll entertain an enthusiasm. We got one.
I just have one, Jim. You said that it was 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. The packet says 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's 9 a.m.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, thanks.
Anybody else?
I'll move to approve with 4 staff conditions.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Congratulations to Paradise Mart and Mr. Osowski. Good luck. Also under development proposals is item 4B1, a public hearing at 6:01 p.m. for a conditional use permit CU-19-002. Public hearing for the consideration of a conditional use permit to allow a microblading business, which is permanent makeup, at 2131 West Washington Street by Ashley Gothard of Pure Artistry. The applicant is Daniel Marks of C&D Properties, and the agent is Ashley Gothard. And a presentation by Jim.
Thanks. This conditional use permit is for a microblading for permanent cosmetics at 2131 West Washington. The state of Wisconsin considers microblading as a form of tattooing. Since they require that as tattooing, we require conditional use permits to be issued for tattoo establishments and being regulated in that matter. So the conditional use is for the microblading, and Ashley will be offering these services as a separate operation in conjunction with the existing salon in that building. A business proposal letter has been presented to us. She's proposing her operations to be from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Sunday. She's anticipating 2 to 4 customers per week starting, and hopefully growing that customer base to 5 to 7 per week. She will be the only person operating as the microblader for this location. Adequate parking is provided on site. 23 stalls are provided for the, throughout the site for the various uses in that building. Prior to opening, staff would require that an occupancy permit be obtained from the building inspection office. Public notice has been published in the paper and notices were sent out, and staff received no comments or inquiries regarding this proposal either. Staff would recommend approval with the 3 conditions.
Thanks, Jim. Any questions from the public or comments from the public on this one?
Move the public hearing be closed.
A motion has been made and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Any questions for Jim on this from the commission? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve with the 3 conditions.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Congratulations to Ms. Gothard. We appreciate you doing business here in West Bend. Again, under item 4, development proposals is 4C, a public hearing at 6:02 p.m. Conditional use permit CU-19-003, a public hearing for the consideration of a conditional use permit to allow a gas station use at 1300 East Paradise Drive by Quick Trip Incorporated, who's the applicant, and Leah Berlin is the agent. And a note on this is that Alderman Jenkins will abstain from discussion and voting on this item. Presentation by Jim.
Thank you. Since we have the conditional use and the site plan going together, I'll just present everything at once. And then we can take the separate action on each of those items if that's acceptable for the commission. Quick Trip has submitted a conditional use permit and also a site plan for a gasoline station and a convenience store at 1300 East Paradise Drive. The conditional use permit is required as a part of the code under the B1 business or community business district uses. The convenience store will be approximately 7,000 square feet with an attached 2,100 square foot car wash. This development will provide 20 fueling stations at 10 pump islands. The hours of operations will be 24 hours, and the anticipated peak customer service would be around 100 to 120 customers at the peak time of the day. Fuel deliveries will be on as needed basis. As part of the conditional use, they will be installing 4 fuel tanks. The fuel tanks will be underground and be double walled and monitored 24 hours on site and remotely. Staff has reviewed the request for the conditional use for the gas station use and finds it to be acceptable. All property owners within 200 feet were notified of the public notice. Development staff received only 1 general inquiry regarding the development and did express some concerns regarding the traffic on South River Road. Staff would recommend approval of the conditional use with the 1 condition listed. As for the site plan itself, the property is 2.23 acres. It's Zone B1 and does require the conditional use for the gas station use. A screen refuse area is incorporated at the northwest corner of this building and incorporated within the building. Access to the site will be through the shared access driveway on the west side of the site that connects to the existing commercial development west, and they also have a driveway that exists on South River Road that they will be utilizing. Due to the adequacy of the roads, for the uses of the adjacent streets, a traffic impact analysis was submitted and is currently being reviewed by the engineering department. Upon approval of that traffic impact analysis, off-site improvements for the adjacent roads may be required and would trigger a developer's agreement for the requirements of those improvements. 26 standard stalls and 2 barrier-free stalls are provided on site, with the additional 20 stalls at the pumps, totaling 46 stalls altogether, which meets the requirements of the zoning. A stormwater management plan will be required for the development, and prior to the issuance of the permit, the stormwater plan would need to be approved. The site grades have been designed to generally drain that site to the north and to the south, where it ultimately discharges to the northeast corner of the site. LED lighting is proposed throughout the site on poles and on the building, and staff finds that to be acceptable. Landscaping has been provided around the building foundation and around the perimeter of the site. Signage package has been also proposed with this. They're proposing 2 wall signs, one on the south side and one on the east side of the building, consistent with the other developments that we've had throughout the city for their signage package. Those locations and sizes are acceptable. They also are proposing a ground sign located at the southeast corner of the site. This sign does have an electronic message center, which is oversized. So prior to issuing a permit for that, we will need to come back to the Plan Commission for an exception request, since it was not noticed in the paper for that exception request. So staff would recommend that prior to issuing any permits, that we'd come back for the approval of that oversized signage on the ground sign. The building materials will consist of red brick along with cream stucco and the gable ends, and gables have been used over the entrances to define these public entrances. The roof will be a green colored sanding seam metal roof, and staff finds the architecturals to be compatible and acceptable per urban design. Staff would also recommend approval of the site plan with the 8 listed conditions that we have for that.
Thank you, Jim. Anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Yes, sir. Please let us know your name and address.
Sure. Troy Malezova, real estate manager with Quick Trip, 1626 Oak Street, La Crosse, Wisconsin. Just want to make myself available for any questions. Thank you.
Anybody else? I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Close. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Any questions for Jim from the commission? Jed?
For the Quick Trip, any Quick Trip representative, at its peak, how many vehicles would you anticipate using the car wash?
You're talking at a peak queuing? Is that what you're asking about in terms of how many?
Well,
folks?
I'll tell you why I'm asking.
Okay.
Maybe that'll make it easier, because I don't know if this is going to be an issue or not. But what I'm seeing, and it's harder to make it out since we stopped getting these on paper. That's just the way things are now. But the perspective is hard to get a handle on. It appears that there would be a conflict where cars coming out of the car wash are heading into the same direction as incoming traffic off of River Road, as well as conflicting with vehicles that would be coming around and on the north side and then coming down that direction. So it's 3 different paths. Well, actually a 4th, because of vehicles that would be going north through the main drive lane. So there's actually 4 directions converging. But I don't know if it's an issue based upon the amount of internal traffic.
Sure. I think typically our car wash, you'd have someone exiting depending on the level of wash they picked. Usually on the neighborhood of every 5 minutes would probably be the fastest you'd have.
Okay.
So in an hour, you'd probably have 12 vehicles at max if the car wash was going full speed and at full activity.
Okay.
If there'd be something we could work with staff to make sure the signage is obvious there, that we had a nice internal circulation. I guess our thought would be that you'd have on the west side of the building, you'd have queuing for car wash entry. So the exit side of the car wash, as you mentioned, is towards River Road. We'd be happy to work if there's some type of internal signage, guiding signage that would work to make sure that's not an issue.
Sure, and I'm sure this isn't reinventing the wheel for you. So I think it would probably be okay as far as the traffic then. Thank you.
Thanks, Jed. Anybody else? Sarah?
I'm just wondering why we didn't wait on this until after we had the city engineer's traffic report.
Max, any thoughts?
Yes, actually, I did review the traffic report, and I would recommend that all the improvements listed in the traffic impact analysis be implemented. So as as Jim was saying earlier, we would have to have a developer's agreement in order to implement those improvements recommended by the TIA. And I find the report to be adequate and the improvements to work out fine.
Does that developer's agreement come back here? Does it go to council? Goes to council?
Mhm.
Okay. That makes sense, Sarah? Anybody else? I would entertain a motion on the item.
Move to approve.
Second?
A motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Get under item 4 is 4D1, SP-19-008, a site plan for a site redevelopment for a gasoline station, convenience store, and car wash at 1300 East Paradise Drive by Quick Trip Incorporated, who's the applicant, and the agent is Leah Berlin, and this is regarding the presentation Jim just gave. I would entertain a motion on the item unless anyone has any questions.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded, again with Commissioner Jenkins abstaining from the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Congratulations to Quick Trip. Thanks for continuing to do business in West Bend. We appreciate it. Under item 4E is a public hearing at 6:03 PM regarding a site plan, SP-18-016, public hearing for an oversized LED electronic message center and consideration of the ground sign plan for the new Fleet Farm development at 3815 West Washington Street by Mills Property Incorporated, who's the applicant, and Tom Carrico, the agent. Did I get that right, Tom? Then you still owe me one. Presentation by Jim.
Thank you. Back in September of last year, the Plan Commission conditionally approved the Fleet Farm Development Project. As a condition of the approval, it required that the ground sign for the West Washington Street and Shepherd's Court sign be approved upon the approval of the traffic impact analysis. That impact analysis has been since approved through the DOT and through staff. And the proposal tonight is the final location for their ground sign, along with also the request from the Fleet Farm Group to have the monument sign to allow them to have an oversized electronic message board on there. The overall sign itself is 200 square feet, which meets our requirements of the 250 square feet allowable for this size of a development, along with further signage. The exception is for the LED portion of the sign. The code requires a maximum of 16 square feet unless a public hearing is held, and then the commission can consider and provide an exception for the oversized sign. So the Fleet Farm Group is asking an exception for 102 square feet. This request is based on the visibility issues, the site limitations with the grades, and the legibility of the sign itself. The location of the sign is acceptable to staff. Staff does have the ability to determine whether these LED signs are within major intersections. Since we looked at the Highway 33 as the major road, and then the Shepherd's Court is actually really isn't designed as a public road, but more as a driveway. We deemed that that staff felt that this was an acceptable location for this sign within that 150 foot of that intersection. So staff was just wanted the commission to be aware of that determination that we made. All property owners within 200 feet were notified of the public hearing. Staff received no comments or concerns regarding the proposal that Fleet Farm has submitted to us. So if the commission finds the sign to be acceptable, staff would recommend approval of it with the condition that a permit be issued prior to the installation.
Thank you, Jim. Questions for Jim? Sarah? I'm sorry, this is a public hearing. Anyone from the audience wishing to address this item, please feel free to step forward.
Hi, Tom Carrico, just here to answer any questions that you might have. So, thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Anyone else?
I'll move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Anyone from the Plan Commission wishing to address the item? Sarah?
Quick question. Jim, does this sign, given its location on 33, it still has to follow our sign codes, right, about not having moving or quickly moving and rolling video?
It would still follow what we have for the number of flashes per minute and,
Okay.
and scintillating and all that.
It's quite a beautiful sign. It almost looks like a TV, right? So I was just checking. Thanks.
Thanks, Sarah. Anybody else? I'd entertain a motion on the item.
I'll
Move
make a
to
mo-
approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed? That motion carries. Congratulations, Tom and Mills Properties. Good luck getting open by September. We're looking forward to it. Item 4F is a site plan SP-19-006, site plan for an architectural facade update for an automotive dealership located at 2275 South Main Street by Lynch Buick GMC of West Bend. The applicant is Mike Kennedy of Lynch Buick. Agent is Jim Triadic. How do you do, Jim? Close enough? With Sullivan Design. Presentation by Jim.
Thank you. The Lynch Motor Group has submitted a site plan for architectural building improvements. They are planning to renovate the interior and the exterior of the building to update the site up to the building up to the corporate standards. This site plan approval is for just the building alterations at this time only. The 6.5 acre parcel is Zone B4, General Business and Warehousing District. The architectural building elevation or alterations include an arch entry that will be added to the west side of the building. And then also the building materials themselves for the existing building will be changed and will consist of aluminum composite material panels on the southwest side of the building over the showroom areas. The colors of those panels would be corporate colors of black, brush and polished aluminum, and then also white. The remaining portions of the building that are black will be repainted to white or snow white colored paint. Wall signage has been identified on the plan. Staff has no problem with the sign locations. Prior to installing the new signage, permits will need to be issued and then verify that the square footage of the signs conform to the sign code. Staff would recommend approval of the site plan with the condition that sign permits be obtained prior to the installation.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions for Jim? I'd entertain a motion on the item.
Motion to approve.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Congratulations to Lynch. Good luck. Looks great. Item 4G, Certified Survey Map and Site Plan, CSM-19-004, combine two lots located at 2600 Metalcraft Road by Metalcraft of Mayville Incorporated. Scott Schaefer of Metalcraft is the applicant. Bud Bessler of Oliver Construction is the agent. And once again, presentation by Jim.
Thank you. The certified survey map is for the Metalcraft project. The purpose of the CSM is to combine two existing lots and also to incorporate the recently discontinued easterly 10 feet of Metalcraft Road. The proposal is needed for the building expansion for Metalcraft for a 25,000 square foot building addition. The 12.7 acre parcel is zoned M3, which is Planned Industrial Park District. The lot meets the requirements of the zoning district. The lot has an existing driveway on Progress Drive on the far west end of the site. one access onto Middlecraft Road, and then a third access on West Progress Drive on the east end of the site. Adequate right-of-way is provided for the roadways, and no additional right-of-way was needed. Staff would recommend approval of the CSM with a minor technical correction prior to recording that CSM, and then also that drainage easement be created along the east side of Middlecraft Road for the side slopes of the drainage swale.
Thanks, Jim. Any questions for Jim regarding the CSM? I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve with the technical corrections and the easement.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed? That motion carries. Again, under item F is F2, site plan SP-19-07 for a 25,000 square foot building addition to the northeast corner of Middlecraft of Mayville, 2600 Middlecraft Road by Middlecraft of Mayville Incorporated. Scott Schaefer is the applicant, and Bud Bessler is the agent. And Jim's going to tell us all about it.
Thank you. This site plan is for the 25,000 square foot industrial building addition. This addition is occurring on the northeast corner of the building. The site plan also incorporates a new parking lot located in front of the building addition. This new additional parking lot will provide 59 standard stalls and 3 barrier-free stalls, and is adequate for the addition, along with the additional parking throughout the site for the rest of the business. A revised stormwater plan is required for the development, and prior to issuance of the building permit, the stormwater plan must be approved. The grades have been designed to drain the site to the north, where the water is collected and discharged to the existing ditch in Progress Drive. Adequate foundation plantings and perimeter landscaping has been provided through the site. Signage also has been identified on the site plan. They're proposing a new ground sign at the northwest corner of the site next to Middlecraft Road. The building architecture also identifies building signage on the building itself on the northwest side of the building addition. Staff finds the locations to be acceptable, but sign details weren't provided since that's under a different package, and those will be sent in for approval by staff at the time of the sign permit applications. The building architecture and the building materials for the new addition will consist of an artesian blend natural stone veneer, along with silver metallic aluminum composite panels, and a cool Old Town gray ribbed metal panel wall system will also be used. Staff finds the architectural elevations to be acceptable, meeting the intent and the guidelines of the urban design code. Roof lines varying roof lines have also been provided and also used to define the entrances to the site. Staff would recommend approval of the site plan with the 5 listed conditions.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions for Jim? Chris?
I don't know if it's for Jim or as much as the representatives here. So I live over on Eagles Court, right around you guys there. And I know the concern for quite some time was, machinery, vibrations, all that kind of stuff. I'm guessing I already know the answer, but if somebody could shed the light about the use of the actual building, just to kind of quell any comments that might come out of the neighborhood there.
Sure. I'm Lee Van Buskirk, the plant manager at Metalcraft here in West Bend. The use of this facility here will be office space. We want to create an environment like we have in our Mayville facility. We brought a new office space, adequate spaces for our managers and stuff to work, to do business. So that's primarily what this is. There's a small portion of it that will be a more of a robotics technical area, but no heavy equipment in that area at all. So no additional heavy equipment.
Got it. Thank you.
As long as you're up there, I've got one quick question.
Yes, sir.
Regarding employment, we're always excited to hear about companies growing and expanding. Hopefully that means some additional jobs for folks.
Absolutely. We're constantly expanding our business, actually in all three facilities, and having the opportunity to work here in West Bend and bringing the folks in from here. We get a tremendous amount of applicants in the area. We have a tremendous amount of people that work for us, so we're always trying to add those. We're looking to add about 30 to 35 more people by doing this as well and keep growing the business in the area.
Great, thank you. Any other questions, as long as you're up?
I'm just wondering if you could talk to me about the outdoor storage. Is it fenced off? What does that fencing look like? What is being stored there?
Outdoor storage. Currently, right now, we have we have returnable rack systems with our customers, and they currently are stacked outside on our concrete that's there. In this facility, there's 6,000 square feet of this that will store those racks as well. To keep them in and under cover, make the property look nice, not have that kind of stuff sitting outside. So that's the attempt there is to clean up the landscape side of it too. Yep.
Yes, Max.
Well, I have one question with that part of the building that looks like it's going over a storm pipe, and if there's a drain there, I'm concerned with whatever could go in the storm pipe there and eventually discharge in the ditch along the property, and whether if there's a drain that's needed, whether it should go to the sanitary sewer. So I was curious about what would be in the building and what kind of issues we may have with something going into the storm sewer there.
I would have to refer back to Oliver Construction, who's our agent.
Bud Bessler, Oliver Construction. Pretty much what Lee was referring to is that it's going to be the only production area that could technically have something like silts and things is going to be there. It's going to be all robotic type like manufacturing, so high tech stuff. So nothing no oils, no silts, no. It'll be all clean drainage. Mostly, it's going to be roof drainage tied into that storm.
Okay.
Where's the drain you're talking about, Max? It's in the building, you're saying?
Yes, it's through that proposed building. It was called different things on different sheets, but it looks like it is a building and it has two big doors on the side.
Yeah, I believe it's that what Max is referring to is right where the hand is. Mm-hmm. That hatched area. That's a covered outdoor cold storage. That's actually under roof, and there was a storm sewer grate or manhole in there. I think that's the area that you're looking at.
Are we talking about the same area with the robotics?
No. That would be the outdoor storage, and that's just their returnable racking.
Correct.
So
okay, so no
repairs.
Vehicles or no oils or no contaminants that could go into that storm there?
No, it'd be strictly raw returnable plastic containers, things of that nature.
No storage of them. I mean, they'll probably have a forklift to remove back and forth, but they're not going to be in that.
Yeah, there's no equipment stored in there or anything of that nature.
Okay.
Your heart rate go down? Did your heart rate go down? You all right? Okay. So I can be clear, the storm sewer is there existing, or this is to catch any rainwater, snow melt?
There's an existing storm, but we're routing a new pipe to it to kind of go around the building as opposed to through it.
Okay.
But that's basically pretty much an existing location that it'll tie into.
Okay.
What about future use of this building if it's turned to something else? Would we have a concern then? And I'm looking at Max because
Yes, absolutely. My concern is to make sure that nothing goes there. So is the drain going to remain there, or are you going to close it since you're redirecting to the pipe
This is where
elsewhere?
I wish Kevin Parrish was right here.
Okay.
I'm sure you could clarify it a lot better as far as how we transferred all the piping and everything else. I just know two-dimensionally where it is, but basically, if you want an explanation, I'm sure I can have Kevin give you a call and just.
That would be great.
Okay.
What does it look like, Max? Is it a new catch basin that's going there, or it's?
No, it's a grate that's already on top of the existing pipe.
It's always been.
It
Yeah,
exists.
correct.
Does it-
It's
Yes,
there
it's
currently right
existing.
now.
Here's my
Yeah.
question, is, does it need to be there?
And we
If you're not
currently,
in-
right now, we have racks sitting over top of it as well. We're just putting a structure over the area to,
Does it need to be
Yeah.
an open grate since it's now under roof, I guess is my question.
And that's
You
my
need more
question as
comfortable putting
well.
this in a solid pipe
Yes, we
underground,
can
right?
seal it and then, because it was not covered before. Now that it's being covered, I'm concerned, okay, what is going to be stored there and what is the contamination?
I think currently right now it's a
potential?
manhole
It's not
cover,
open
sealed
grate.
manhole cover.
It's just a manhole cover.
It's
not
such,
a
it's just a
grate.
cover right now? Okay, I thought it was a grate.
No.
Okay.
No, it's a sealed manhole cover right now.
Yeah, the way it's being graded is, everything's gonna be, I mean, there's not a lot of water that's gonna be going in that space,
So it's a sealed manhole cover. See,
Yeah.
now we're getting somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no grading, so.
I can hear your heart rate going down by the minute here.
Yeah, I'm gonna fall asleep in a minute. Thank you.
Bernie.
Thank you.
As long as you guys are up there, I got a question. Do you feel you got enough room for pushing snow just to the north and the south? You got that row of dogwood there?
Well, we got a lot of green space, so that's one of the reasons why we took some of the islands out. But so that green space surrounding the parking lot should handle any snow that, because we want to maintain the truck access, obviously. So for that small parking lot, yeah, I think we're okay with as far as pushing snow. It's just that, there's a swale in the right of way and everything else too. So it might be a little touch and go and kind of figure out where
Yeah.
on the fly, but that's one of the reasons why we kept a lot of green space around that perimeter, albeit the same, but you need a green space requirement, so it's meeting that too, so.
All right.
Anybody else? I'd entertain a motion on the item.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Congratulations and thank you, guys. Great to see expanding. The elevations look awesome. Good
Thank you.
work.
All right, thank you.
And last item tonight is item H, 2020 Comprehensive Plan Discussion and Recommendation to set a public hearing for a change in the recommended land use from single-family residential to industrial in the 2020 Comprehensive Plan for the City of West Bend for lands located approximately 1/2 mile south of Rusco Road and east of South River Road by Ruth Ann Smith, who's the applicant, and the agent is the City of West Bend. And one more presentation by Jim.
The Schmidt family has requested a consideration to change the comprehensive plan, land use change, on the recently annexed vacant 62.7 acre parcel located on South River Road, or east of South River Road, just south of Rusco Road. This consideration is being requested to change the land use from the residential use that's currently out there to industrial. The surrounding land uses for the area is single-family and vacant lands to the north, vacant farmlands to the south, and industrial uses to the east, west, and also portions to the south. Given the surrounding existing uses, the adjacent vacant lands, and the physical characteristics of the site, staff found that this to be suitable for the industrial use. If the comprehensive plan is endorsed by the commission, the zoning amendment for the permanent zoning would reflect the change of the temporary zoning that's out there for the newly annexed lands to the M2 heavy industrial district. If the plan commission finds the proposal to be acceptable, staff would recommend that a public hearing be set for May 7th of 2019 at 6 p.m. to hear any comments and concerns for the comprehensive plan change. At the same time, we would also have a second public hearing to address the permanent zoning for that property.
Great, thank you, Jim. Any questions for Jim? I would entertain a motion on this one.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That motion carries. Be there no further business before the Plan Commission, I adjourn. Have a great evening, everyone.